put a Folgers plastic can, cut it up the side, to the center, then put a hose clamp on the pole, and put this over it, and they can't go through it.
Right.
Have you seen the video with the engineer who creates the obstacle course?
Yeah.
Right.
We just watched that
Oh,
last
it's
night.
amazing.
Isn't that a delight?
Hysterical.
Yes. With, what is it?
American Ninja Warriors.
Mhm. Yeah, it's amazing the things you can find on the internet to amuse you.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
No, I have one.
And how are the three amigos?
I have one.
Loud and proud and shitty.
Bruchim habayim, Shabbat Shalom, Chag Sameach. Welcome to everybody from among the Kolamites, all of our visitors, and all the ships at sea. We are celebrating Shabbat once again at CKA, as well as honoring the closing of the holiday of Shavuot. It's a delight to have everybody here, present and online. We're going to get started with a little nigun, and then we're going to take some time to think about our good and blessing that we want to share with each other as a community. So we'll begin with the Lubavitcher nigun. Yai da 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 da, yai da 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 da, yai da 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 da, yai da 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 da, yai da da da, ya da 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 da, ya da da, ya da da, ya da da. Ya da 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 da, ya da 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 da, ya da da ya da da ya da da da. Ya da da da, ya da 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 da, ya da da ya da da ya da da. We begin, as we always do here at CKA, with good and blessing and thanks to the people who are making things happen. So we want to begin with our special thanks to our socially spaced but present minion that brings us our minimum 10. So thanks to Samson and Casey, and to Harold Harris, and to Bob and Becky Leonard, and Evan and Dr. Amanda Levin-Russo for forming our minion. And the Dawsies, forgive me, and the Dawsies as well. And of course, special recognition to Bob, because all of this happens because Bob makes it happen. So thanks to them. As far as birthdays are concerned, we're thinking about Ava Kaplan, Brett Meyer, Lori Applebaum, Brian Lapidus, David Diamond, Irene Meehan, and Stephen Dubrow, all of whom have their birthdays this week. Anniversaries, we've got a lot. So are we ready to rejoice with Brian and Lauren Topelson, Michael and Noreen Abramovitz, Joe and Karen Bornstein, Michael and Deborah Fripp, Kenny and Arlene Webman, Brad and Melissa Zane, Jeff and Marianne Cagle, Nathaniel and Danielle Roseberry, Ida and Jennifer Shellef, Steve and Robbie Gelman. May all of them find joy as they celebrate their new lives together. They're not new lives, they're continuing lives together. And it's awesome that we are able to celebrate all those. In addition to that, I have the following reports. Mark Davis, our trusty usher, reports that he had a memory-making week with his family. He did go out once to a restaurant, but he is enjoying his children and grandchildren. So it's wonderful to hear that we're still able to make those human connections. Melissa Hart is celebrating her nephew, Ian, who's graduated from high school. I imagine we have several. I wish I could name them all. I can think of a few, but I don't want to start into a list of graduates. But congratulations to all our CKA graduates this week. We also, Jeff Cagle reminded us it's not only his and Marianne's anniversary, it's their 20th anniversary. So an awesome power couple. Mazel tov to them. And most precious of all, Erica and Donnie and Lonnie Dietz are pleased to report the birth of Reagan May, their daughter, who was born this past week. So that's a huge machaya, and we are delighted to see the expanding Dietz family. So blessings to all of them. We also have, joining us, we now have Lindsay Lev, who will be our soloist, and she is going to help conduct our service from this point on. I'm going to give her a moment to collect herself by inviting up Dr. Amanda Russo to kindle the lights of Shabbat.
did you want me to do the
Yes, if you would.
Okay. In the beginning, when the Spirit of God hovered over the darkness, God's first creation was light. As we kindle these Shabbat lights, we attest to the majesty of God's work and rejoice in its beauty. Light is a symbol of divinity and creative goodness. It is the outward sign of that inner spark which God has granted each of us. In hope and with love, we now welcome Shabbat with light. I'm going to need water to move this. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'halechna shel Shabbat. Praise ye you, Adonai, whose presence fills the world, who hallows us with mitzvot and inspires us to kindle Shabbat lights.
May God bless us with Shabbat joy. May God bless us with Shabbat holiness. May God bless us with Shabbat peace. Amen. Live long and prosper, my dear. We're going to go on to Kabbalat Shabbat, and if you turn to page 2, if you have our Siddur, you will find Psalm 95, Lechune Ranena. Ranena, Lechune Ranena, Lechune Ranena, Ladonai, Lechune Ranena, Lechune Ranena, Lechune Ranena, Ladonai. Naria, Naria, Letzur Yishenu, Nikadma Lefana Betoda. Naria, Naria, Letzur Yishenu, Bezimrot Naria Lo. Lechune Ranena, Lechune Ranena, Lechune Ranena, Ladonai. Lechune Ranena, Lechune Ranena, Lechune Ranena, Ladonai. We're going to continue now in the middle of page 2 with Psalm 96, Let the heavens rejoice. Let the heavens rejoice and the earth exult. Let the sea and all within it thunder. The fields and everything in them exult. And then shall all the trees of the forest shout for joy at the presence of Adonai. For God is coming, rule the earth. God will rule the world justly and its people faithfully. We're going to turn now to Psalm 29, Havu Ladonai, page 6, if you have the Siddur. Ascribe to Adonai, you children of God.
Can somebody get your prayer book, please?
I got this. Havu Ladonai b'nei Elim, Havu Ladonai kavod va'oz, Havu Ladonai kevod shemo, Ishtachavu Ladonai behadrat kodesh, Adonai oz le'amo yitein, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Ascribe to Adonai, you children of God. Ascribe to Adonai glory and strength. Ascribe to Adonai the glory of God's name, and worship Adonai in the beauty of holiness. May Adonai give strength to this people. May Adonai bless this people with peace. We're going to continue now to the culmination of our Kabbalat Shabbat, Lecha Dodi, which will appear on page 7. Come, my beloved friend, and let us greet the Sabbath bride. Lecha Dodi. So rouse yourself, for your light has come. Arise, shine, waken, awaken. Give forth the song, the glory of Adonai is revealed to you. So come in peace, you crown of your husband, with rejoicing and with joy, to those who are faithful, a treasured people. Come, O Sabbath bride, come, O bride. We're going to turn now to page 9, and we're going to transition to the public service with Hatzi Kaddish.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה.
Amen.
בעלמא יברא הידותי וימליך מלכותי, והיהונו ביום אחד, והיה לכל בית ישראל. בגלה בגלה, ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעלה ולעלמי עלמיה, יתברך, יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם וינשא, ויתהדר ויתהלל ויתהלל, שמי קדושה ברכו, לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תוש וחטא ונחמתה, תמירן בעלמא, ואמרו אמן.
Please rise as practical.
La 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la.
We continue now with the prayer and welcoming the evening with the assurance that time and pattern continue throughout our lives. Ma'ariv Aravim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim. B'chochma potech sharim, uvituna mishane itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umsader et hakokavim, b'mishmerotehem barakia kerotzono. Borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'hoshech mipnei or. Umavdil yom uvein Laila, Umavdil ben Yom uvein Laila, Adonai Tzibaot Shemo, El Chai v'Kayam Tamid Yimloch Aleinu Le'olam Vayed, Baruch atah Adonai Ha'ariv Aravim. Praised are you, Adonai, who makes evening fall. Ahavat Olam, and unending is your love for your people, the house of Israel. Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts you have taught us. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and rejoice in your Torah and mitzvot forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life and the length of our days. And then your love shall never depart from our hearts. Blessed is Adonai, who loves the people Israel.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Vaed.
You may be seated.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשתם להות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, ויתן קדושים לאלוהיהם. אני אדוני אלוהיהם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות להם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיהם.
All this is true and enduring, beloved and precious, awesome, good, and beautiful. This truth we hold to be forever certain. Adonai is our God, the rock of Jacob, shield of our salvation. Adonai, our God, you redeemed us from Egypt. You set us free from the house of bondage. And for this, the people who felt your love sang songs of praise to you. Living God, high and exalted, mighty and awesome, who humbles the proud, who raises the lowly, who frees the captive and redeems the oppressed, who is the answer for all who cry out. God Most High, the source of blessing. Like Moses and Israel, we sing this song of rejoicing. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim. Grant that this night we should lie down in peace, Adonai our God, and tomorrow raise us up, O sovereign, to a life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel, and for your name's sake, be our help. Shield us from hatred and plague. Keep us from war, famine, and anguish. Subdue our inclination to evil. O God, our guardian and our helper, our gracious and merciful sovereign, give us refuge in the shadow of your wings. O guard our coming and our going, that always we have life and peace. We praise you, O God, whose sukkah of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. We're going to continue now with Tefillah on the prayer book. We're on page 17. If able, please rise. I will turn the bima over to Lindsay.
Adonai shefatati ufi yagi tefilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor Hanora, El Elyon Gomer Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Vezoher Hasteavot Ve'imahot, Umevi Gula Livnei Bneihem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Oseh Hoshia Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Bezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mehayei Hakol Atarav Le'Hoshia, Mehakel Haim Bechesed, Mehayei Hakol Berahamim Rabim, Tomek Noflim Verofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Mishenei Afar, Michamocham Bad Gerurot, Umidom Elam, Melech Memit Umechayeh, Umatzliach Yeshua, B'ne'eman atah hayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom v'malukah selah. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el hakadosh.
Please be seated. And in honor of this Shabbat, we're going to join together on the middle of page 21 with Yismechu v'malchutecha, those who rejoice in the Sabbath and hold it as a delight shall rejoice in your kingdom for all time. Yismechu v'malchutecha. This is your desire, sanctified and blessed by you, the most precious of days, a memorial to all the work of creation. Adonai, our God, show favor to your people Israel and lovingly receive these prayers. May the worship of your people always be acceptable to you, for you alone do we hold in reverence. And we give thanks to you, Adonai, our God, the God of our ancestors. You are the rock of our lives, the shield of our salvation in every generation. We thank you and we recite your praises. Let all the living affirm you and praise your name as the God of our salvation and help. Praised are you, Adonai. Goodness is your name. All praise to you. We're going to close out with a much needed prayer for peace, Shalom Rav, and then we'll have a few moments for our own prayers, the offerings of our own hearts.
Shalom Shalom Aleinu. Shalom Aleinu, Ne'akol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu, Ne'akol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu, Ne'akol Yisrael. Oseh Shalom B'Kumah. Yaseh Shalom Aleinu, Ne'akol Yisrael.
So, sunset last night was the beginning of the holiday of Shavuot. And for sleek, modern, totally with it Reform Jews like myself, the holiday now draws to a close that Shabbat approaches. However, some of you may be some of those dead-end traditionalists who insist that the holiday goes on until Saturday night. Be that as it may, we've had some wonderful celebrations. Thursday night, we had a remarkable Zoom Tikkun Leil Shavuot, which was a delight to participate in. It was even more of a delight that I didn't have to organize it. My colleague, Rabbi Charlie Citron Walker, who is the head of the SWAR organization, the Southwest Regional Rabbis, managed to put this all together for us. And so all I had to do was do my presentation. So it was great. It was wonderful. We studied together from 8 until midnight, and it was fabulous. So it was a wonderful thing. Now, the problem is, of course, that the world goes on. Even as we're celebrating, we look back and we see that it's been a week of terrible milestones. We have the unmitigated tragedy that 100,000 Americans have now died as a result of COVID-19. We have an unemployment rate that is approaching 20%, and a city that only a week ago I would have voted the least likely to have race problems, Minneapolis, has been torn apart by a killing, by more violence, and by long simmering grievance, and it's spilled over into our national psyche. It would seem now really is the time for a call to action, a time for something transformative. But quite honestly, I can't. I don't want to. I want to enjoy my holiday, celebrate the Festival of Weeks, eat cheesecake, have some coffee, and enjoy the study of Torah. My feelings about this week are perhaps best expressed by the character of Kay, played by Tommy Lee Jones in the demented but delightful comedy Men in Black, who is explaining to his coworker, Will Smith, what to prioritize when you're dealing with alien immigrants. Kay, we do not discharge our weapons in the view of the public. Jay, man, we ain't got time for this cover-up, beep, beep. I don't know whether you or not have forgotten this, but there's an Archillian battle cruiser that's about to. There's always an Archillian battle cruiser, or a Carillion death ray, or an intergalactic plague that is about to wipe out all life on this miserable little planet. And the only way people can get about with their happy lives is if they don't have to think about it. And that's really sort of the place I'm at right now. For at least 24 hours, to not have to think about all the stressors that are going on. I really want not just my holiday, but Shabbat. It may be, in fact, the most necessary concept in our frenzied, tormented world at this time, to be able to sit back and rejoice at the giving of the Torah. Now, what I would like to talk to you about tonight is something beautiful and sweet and delightful, and that is the book of Ruth, one of the most accessible books in the Bible. It appears in the 3rd section of the Hebrew Bible, and what's known as Ketuvim, the writings, all the things that don't fall under the category of the Torah or of the prophets. And it's a beautiful little story, a folktale perhaps, written in all of 4 chapters. And it recounts the loyalty and reward that comes to a young Moabite widow by the name of Ruth, who chooses to follow her Israelite mother-in-law, Naomi, both of them impoverished widows at the beginning of the story, back to the town of Bethlehem, after Naomi was bereaved of her own husband and 2 sons, including Ruth's husband. So one of the sisters-in-law, Ruth's sister-in-law, Orpah, decides that she is going to return to her own family. But Ruth will not do this. Instead, she cleaves to Naomi, and she commits herself and shares her fate, going back to the territory of Judah, a place she's never been before. Ruth's social status, however, rises rather quickly in our story, starting out as a nochriya, that is, a foreigner with no real rights or status. She next describes herself as a shifcha, a maidservant, a humble person, but with some rights, and then as an amha, that is, a handmaiden. Again, a sense of growing rights and privileges in the Israelite community. By the end of the story, Boaz, her future husband, calls her Isha, wife, woman, a person of Israel. And the text goes on to report her to be the maternal ancestor of no less than King David. It's a very satisfying story. Jewish tradition calls upon us to read this book at the festival of Shavuot for a variety of reasons. The events in the story take place during the summer harvest when Shavuot is celebrated. Ruth is the ancestress of David, who, according to our tradition, died on Shavuot. Ruth's acceptance of Torah and her mother-in-law's lifestyle dovetails rather nicely with the Torahitic account of God giving the Torah on Mount Sinai in front of all the people. And finally, Ruth's loyalty symbolizes the fidelity to each other and our sacred covenant that is asked of all of us as Jews. Although the story is set in the period of the Judges, roughly 1200 to 1000 BCE, it's unlikely it was written during that time. According to the Talmud, they already suspected something was up. They said Samuel the prophet wrote his own books, the book of Judges and the book of Ruth. So they already think. Most biblical scholars, however, argue for even a later date, perhaps after the Babylonian exile, perhaps after the setting of the story. So it was basically, from their perspective, a medieval romance. Why was this book even written? The original purpose is a little elusive. Some have argued that it's simply an interesting tale of long ago. Others suggest that the author's goal was to promote the inclusion of outsiders, such as Ruth, in the assembly and community and state of Israel. An issue during the days of Ezra and Nehemiah, when it's most likely been written, was that Ezra and Nehemiah, the leadership, proposed a policy of exclusiveness that pushed foreigners away from the Jewish community. Others think that the goal was simply to establish David's genealogy and to explain why David, a Judahite by all reports, also had such close ties to the tribes of Moab. For others, family unity is at the center of the story. And most recently, the scholar Adele Berlin argued that the book is really meant to revisit the overarching motif of the Hebrew Bible. And what is that motif? Exile and return, coming home to land and people. I think the most plausible purpose is this. The author wished to stress that common people can do right and can do good on a daily basis if they act unselfishly towards one another, as witnessed by the main characters of the book. And this echoes the Midrash that taught that the book of Ruth was written to teach each of us Gimilut Chasadim, acts of loving kindness that we can apply to our own lives. It is in this universal message that makes this charming and idyllic book, the book of Ruth, really kind of appealing for everyone. Of course, it doesn't have to be only one of any of these reasons. It could be for all these reasons. It is a good story, a story of ethnic tolerance and inclusion, a story of success in the face of adversity, a story about the promise of the future, a story about the power of fidelity and compassion. It is, for all these reasons, one of the best stories in our tradition, and it's good for us to read and appreciate it at this most trying of times. So I urge you all to pull out your Tanakh and maybe take a little time to read the book of Ruth. You'll feel better. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. It's now my delight to invite up our president. Come on up, Becky.
Good evening. Welcome to our now normal Friday night service. A few announcements, not quite as many as last week since some of them have rolled through, but once again, if you have pen and paper handy, it's a nice time to have it. Just to let you know that, as is our tradition here at Congregation Colony, when we are asked to help, we come out in droves, and all of the slots for the June 7th blood drive have been filled, which means you can't just walk up. However, rest assured, if you would like to donate, please go find a Carter Blood Care Center near you. List Congregation Colony as your sponsor. It will get counted. So rest assured, you can do your part. Then on June 10th, we have our annual member meeting that went out in the blast this week. The sign up for the 40 people that we'll allow to have here in person that we can socially distance safely, as well as the live stream. Please remember, we do have to have a quorum in order to vote in the officers for the next fiscal year and approve our proposed budget. So please make sure you sign up for that. Please also remember that we restart Torah and Tefillah here tomorrow in person at Congregation Kolami at 10 o'clock. Rabbi will be here. We are not live streaming that, as that was a service we typically do not. It's a little bit more intimate, and it really doesn't lend itself to a live stream, to be honest. And then finally, just as a note, for those of you DIYers out there, Rabbi is taking suggestions for themes for his weekly, I won't call it a podcast because it doesn't quite go at that long. But if you're really interested in trying to understand why we do certain things as Jews, it's a great idea to throw those ideas out to Rabbi. He can get super creative, as you guys have seen in the past, on new ideas and two topics to continue to educate us in a very fun, entertaining, and really informative way. Other than that, I'm going to turn it back to Rabbi so he can get us through Mishaberach.
Thank you, Becky. So, as is our custom, we take a little time to think about those individuals who are ill, whether that illness is an illness of body or spirit. And it is our hope that by joining our prayers with them, that we may sustain them and help them at this time and show our love and appreciation for them. So we have a Mishaberach list here, and I will be reading the names from it. At the same time, you can crank up your chat, and if you have a couple of names you would like to add to our prayers, we will say them here online. And so we welcome that. But our Mishaberach list, as it exists right now, is to ask the God who blessed our ancestors to also bless Anna Binder, Sid Binder, David Cook, Gordon Ellenson, Tammy Ferris, Michelle Griffith, Dr. Mel Gross, Judy Horowitz, Deb Kaufman, Clayton Kirkwood, Alex Koenig, Lauren Koenig, Connie Kruger, Bill Lee, Sandy Lensner, Mazi McQueen, Judy Morisak, Don Neal, Lily Roberts, Sandy Rubin, Adrian Sandler, Myra Schussler, and Ben Weisbard. What other names do we have?
Jim Hart and Herbert Haley and Paula Perez.
Thank you. Is there anybody in the room? Harold.
Sandy Rosen.
Thank you.
Kendra Toads and Anna Kumarski.
Thank you.
Benedict Tarr and Jess Tarr.
Thank you.
Drew Mosley.
Thank you. All right. We turn now to the words of Debbie Friedman, who has adapted the traditional Mishabera into a contemporary song. Mishabera avotenu mekor habracha.
Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say amen. There's no saying or feeling with all our body, all our spirit, and let us say
We now come to the final rubrics of our service. I invite you all to turn to page 82, and depending on your circumstances, rise and turn towards the east, or at least turn your heart towards Jerusalem as we do the Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, Latei'nu la'yotzer breshit, shelo asanu k'goyei ha'atzot, v'lo samanu k'mishlachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נותן שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרה בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובה מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, כך כתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום בהחשבות אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים, בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת. Ein od. Please be seated. May we gain wisdom in our lives, overflowing like a river with understanding, loved each of us for the peace we bring to others. May our deeds exceed our speech, and may we never lift up our hand, but to conquer fear and doubt and despair. And rise up like the sun, O God, over all humanity. Cause light to go forth over all the lands between the sea, and illumine your universe with the joy of wholeness, of freedom, and of peace. Bayom hahu, Yeh Adonai Echad, Ushemo, Ushemo, Ushemo Echad. Our lives, O God, are in your hands. In you we trust. Whatever may be our destiny, we know that you will be there. And though we may never fathom the mysteries of life and death, we know that your gift of life, which each of us has treasured, is a gift. So no matter what the final end, let us rejoice in the sweetness of the past and our faith in life to come. There will we find you, your love, and your blessing. And so it is we recall with love and gratitude the names of those who have been recently lost, as well as those whose anniversaries of death occur this week. I begin by asking, is there anybody in the room observing Shiva, or anyone in our viewing group that has lost someone in the past 7 days? No? Good, that's good. For Shloshim, we continue to think of Ralph Candelario Jr., the brother of Connie Underwood, and of Jerry Cagle, the husband of Lisa Cagle and the father of Jeff, Greg, Andy Cagle, and Carly Wisniewski. Is there anyone else out there observing a Shloshim, having lost someone the last 30 days? Thank you, Harold. And then finally, we want to honor those individuals whose yahrzeits, whose anniversaries of death occur this week. For our community, we want to honor Sydney Album, Lillian Brenner, Gloria Burke, Sam Croman, Patricia Davis, John Halsey, Aaron Schlanger, and Dorothy Fox. Is there anyone else in our community who is observing an anniversary of death, the yahrzeit?
Tom Bookberg.
Thank you. We want to honor the memory of all these people, as well as all those who are mourning for their loved ones lost recently or in the past, by turning to page 85, and if able, oh, you have another name?
One more Sabor.
Thank you. We're going to include all those names and all the names you have in your heart as we recite together Kaddish, and we pray for the coming of the kingdom of heaven. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah be'alma divrach yirta yimid malchutei v'chayichon uvyomechon uvchayei d'chol beit Yisrael bagalal uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'alam ulamei amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yiturmam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudsha b'richu Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba mim shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'mroma, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. And may the one who causes peace on high cause peace to descend upon us and upon all the people Israel and all the world. And let us say, Amen. So we're going to have a concluding song, which is going to be Al Shlosha Devarim. The world stands upon three things: upon Torah, upon worship, and upon acts of love. And then we're going to finish up by doing Kiddush and sharing a little motzi together with bread. Al Shlosha Devarim. Of the day. I'm here with the wine, but probably we should be focusing on Lindsay with her voice. And so she's going to lead us in Kiddush.
Baruch
Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam.
Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher kisham mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kosher v'ahava u'ratzon v'nilanu zikaron l'maaseh b'reishit kihu yom tehillah v'nikra kodesh zeh tziyat Mitzrayim, Kibanu Gavarta, V'yodanu Kidashta, Mikol Hamonim, V'Shabbat Kodshcha, V'Ahava u'ratzon, Ilhatanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha-Shabbat. Amen.
L'chaim. And now we have, as we have of late, these wonderful little mini challahs provided by Casey. Now they've changed a little bit. We now have an extra layer on them. I'm not whether that's shock protection or an ablative shield for against the heat that is created by the powerful nature of my throw. But in any case, take the second one. Okay, so this is the heat shield. So we're thinking of all those people at SpaceX waiting to go into space tomorrow. So this is for you, SpaceX. But in any case, we want to say a blessing for all sustenance and for those people present to be able to celebrate with bread. And I hope you will do so too at home. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. And now the now famous rabbi's toss. Here we go. Up. If you stand up for it, you can get it, Harold. Are you ready, my dear? There we go. I wish I had been this good at softball when I was a kid. Oh, okay. There we go. And for you, Bob, and for you, Lindsay. Oh. All right. And Shabbat Shalom, everybody.